Originally, this was supposed to be a review of Dishonored, and I had even written a bunch about it, but I think I'll save that for a complete series retrospective when I get around to finishing the other two. The only reason the first Dishonored was even on my completed list was because I had to go back and play through the DLC, which made me actively mad. What a waste of time! Over the years, I've become increasingly disillusioned with games adding small chunks of content after I'd already finished them. Content that rarely pushes the boundaries of the base game and struggles to justify its existence. And now that it's become a whole culture to add content over a large stretch of time, including adding features to games that should have been available at launch, I'm just done. You only get to do that when your game is in early access. There are exceptions though. I'm not going to pretend hefty expansions are not worthwhile. There was as much content in the ICEBORNE expansion as the base game of Monster Hunter World, or the huge Soulsborne DLCs, or even the kind of expansion that's so game-changing you need to start from scratch to even play it. Like, we're talking add-ons that might as well be sequels. Another exception would be MMOs and competitive multiplayer games. The whole point has always been to grow over time with their community, but that's the important part. Those games are kept aloft by their players more than any content update, and the games shape themselves around that. The games of this type that overcharge for expansions are another story altogether though, and frankly should all be free to play. What really baffles me is the need to do this to single player games. A game like Assassin's Creed Odyssey was considered bloated from when it launched, and it only grew in annoyingly small chunks over the 1 year Ubisoft kept updating it. If you come to me like, hey, I see you played this game. Have you considered spending a chunk of money to go back and play it for about 2 hours? You can get the hell out of here. The weirdest part is, so many of these DLC don't even sell a fraction of the copies of the main game, and some are even instead converted to standalone titles, just to give it any kind of presence in the market. When did this really hit me though? Horizon Zero Dawn. I beat the crap out of that game. Got that platinum, which was surprisingly easy because it's pretty small for an open world game. Then a few months later they announced the Frozen Wilds. I was so disappointed. I thought I was finished. I had a great time and they made this short spin-off adventure that I couldn't even begin to care about now that I'd put the game behind me. From that day forth, I swore not to buy games until they'd reached a complete state, even if I don't end up playing it all when it reaches that point. Or maybe I won't even consider DLC content because anytime I've tried to play it since Dishonored, I've just wanted it to end. Also, there's this whole thing where the complete editions of games come out at a cheaper price than the game launched at shortly after the DLC concludes. So why buy in early at all then? Why did I make this video? I kind of just wanted to vent. The games industry has a lot of bullshit, and the nebulous promise of season passes and mediocre follow-up DLC is one thing that has been forgotten in the shuffle, but still happens all the time, and compared to other predatory capitalist techniques in the game industry, it affects my playing habits the most. Maybe I just wanted to add some framing that, while a lot of the games I review here are in a completed state, the odds of me covering the DLC would need to involve some outstanding shakeups to the game as a whole, or have been a crucial part of the main story from the beginning, because I'm just so tired of having to return to a game only to be disappointed.